Hello, and welcome to the Startup Breakdown, the show where we talk about startup businesses and the entrepreneurs who help create them. Earlier this season, we talked with three experts about the first step when starting a business. We determined that there really was no one correct starting point or one right answer or one linear path that people follow on their journey towards startup success. On today's episode, we're going to talk with three entrepreneurs who have successfully completed one of the hardest tasks in starting a business, finding people to actually buy your product or service. So let's go around the room, tell us your name, tell us a little bit about your business, and we'll pick it up from there. Let's start with Chris.
All right. Chris Sirianni from the Brewerie Union Station downtown Erie. We are Erie's original startup brew pub and restaurant in Union Station downtown. Been open for about 11 years now. It's been a fantastic ride, and I look forward to telling you all about it.
Thank you. Heidi?
So my name's Heidi Lutz. I just opened the Juice Jar in the Colony Plaza on West 8th Street just a year ago. We just turned 1 year old. We have freshly made juices, which I brought some for us today, and smoothies and really healthy grab-and-go food.
Thank you. RJ?
My name's RJ Messanger. I own Iron Empire Clothing. Started a business about 2 years ago, and we have clothing for everyone and anyone and everyone. We call ourselves a lifestyle brand. There's a lot of positivity in what we do, the messages on our shirts. We are involved in the community a lot, and it's been a roller coaster of a ride so far.
So with the three of you, I would consider you all sort of first movers in Erie. There weren't comparable businesses to yours when you started out. Chris, you've been around a little bit longer than these two, but tell us a little bit about how you got started and how you brought something to Erie that wasn't here before.
Well, I went to college at IUP, and at IUP we do a lot of fun things, and one of the fun things we did actually as a class was brew beer. So we did that, got a taste for it, and said, hey, craft beer, it's kind of interesting. There wasn't a whole lot out in the market. Thought it'd be interesting. Worked on a 5-year plan, post-internship at Erie Brewing Company, which is a production facility in Erie, and over a course of 5 years in the early 2000s, built a plan, worked on it, visited dozens of regional breweries outside of Erie, East Coast, West Coast, middle of the country, and said, hey, this could work here. This could work. It works in smaller communities. It works in less diverse communities, less affluent communities. It can work here. So, after that 5 years, we put it together. We pitched, and 2006, we opened our doors up as Erie's original brew pub and restaurant. It took entry to market when you're different, or not, people in the community just aren't used to what you're trying to sell. Believe it or not, 15 years ago, people didn't know what a brew pub was. They thought a brew pub was just another bar or tavern. We wanted a place where we made our own beer, made our own food and meals, sourced as locally and close to home as you can. That's a common thread with a lot of breweries. Source local, use local vendors, and marry those two things. And at first, trying to explain to people what we were trying to do was difficult. Now it seems very common because there's brew pubs opening up every 90 minutes, literally. So yeah, it was hard to break that barrier, but education came first, and educate the people on what the mission and being community-centric means, and it's taken off.
So Heidi, you've been around for a year now. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Tell us a little bit about your journey and how you got started with the Juice Jar.
So I got started with the Juice Jar because of my own journey with my own health. So I was diagnosed with Crohn's disease about 9 years ago, and I knew that it was due to my diet. I knew that it was due, to a lot of the processed foods that I was eating. And, in other parts of the country, fresh juices have been around, for years and years. But there's very little of that in our community. We have the Whole Foods Co-op, thankfully, that have been doing that and providing us organic food. But I also don't like to cook. So, I opened the Juice Jar basically to meet my own need and then hoped that I could educate the community as well on nutritional healing. I have managed to stay off any medication for over 3 years thanks to juicing, and we have bone broth that we make and sell at the store. And the meals, the meals are just real whole food. There's nothing processed about them. They're fresh. They're made from scratch, all in our kitchen. And like Chris said, the education, educating people on what we're doing is so important. People are not sure about, about a green juice and what's going on in here. It doesn't look very
Mine's
pretty,
delicious, by the way.
Yeah, but it's so good for you, and we're so lacking in nutrients that that our bodies really need. So educating people on that and why they should be drinking these and why we need them so badly. But also, the food, people come in, they're afraid to come in because it's all healthy. Well, we have great desserts. Like, we have awesome lemon bars and cookie bars and things that are gluten-free. We have vegan desserts, and they taste amazing, so don't be afraid.
And as far as the education aspect, do you find that you're doing more of that now than you were a year ago, or is it different than it was when you first started?
That was always my goal, was to educate. So I'm just trying to incorporate it into running the store, bringing in groups, going out and speaking to people. Eventually I want to have a whole education center where we can bring in field trips of kids.
So RJ, your business is a little bit different. You're not in food service, obviously, but you've really created a brand out of thin air. So tell us a little bit about what went into that.
You're exactly right. Different from them too. I didn't start the clothing line to be a business. My wife and I at the time, we both had full-time jobs. I just got married, bought a house, and I said I want a hobby, something to keep me busy on the side. Came up with a name, 2 or 3 designs, and we took $300 of our own cash, put it towards some shirts. And it's absolutely been insane since, we were into our first retail location within our first year, and we sell, online now nationally. I think we did over 1,000 online orders last year. We are now in our second location, bigger location, where we do our own screen printing as well. And it's my full-time job now. I was working full-time for the city for 6+ years. I had a career, a 9 to 5, making $50,000 a year, pension, health insurance, all that. And I gave all that up to
make T-shirts.
To make T-shirts and have some fun along the way.
But you say you're in your second location now, but it's really your third location. You've had 2 retail spots, and you started out of your house, right?
Technically, yeah. With that was this crazy story. I think with the first 6 months, we went from selling some stuff online to having some people that we know personally in Erie coming to the house to pick stuff up, and then after a couple months, while working, my full-time job, while Jamie worked her full-time job, we're getting messages and calls and emails from people in Erie. Oh, can I come to your house and pick up a shirt? I heard I can come there and get it. So I was like scheduling appointments throughout the day. Okay, you can come at 3:30. You can come at 4 o'clock. Come at 4:30. And I mean, it was a whirlwind of craziness.
You've used the word crazy a couple times, and I'm pretty sure the 2 of you would also use the word crazy to describe the journey at times. What types of things have you done to create some of that craziness, to create some demand, to bring people into your business? I mean, all 3 of you are doing something new. What have you done to make that work?
Ooh.
Or what have you done? What have you done that hasn't worked well, maybe?
Well, I know for me, I started early on. I mean, I actually left my job. I got the idea, left my job, and the store was open in less than a year from doing that. But once I left my job, I really tried to put awareness out there that we were opening. So, I had a couple guys that wanted to help me, and we just started putting out videos. We were filming me in the kitchen, making the energy bites, and just trying to really raise awareness on social media, which helped. It created a really big buzz before we opened, so the customers were there ready when we opened the door last year.
So do you remember, how many Facebook fans did you have the day that you opened your door?
The day that we opened, maybe it was probably around 3,000.
So before you ever sold a single product, you had
Right.
3,000 people following you on
Right.
Facebook.
Yeah.
That's pretty impressive. Chris, what types of things did you do to build some of that awareness?
It's fun. It's funny, Heidi, because we didn't have Facebook when we opened up. I don't even know if
You sound like
MySpace
such an
was
old
around.
man when you say
Yeah, I'm
that.
the old man in the room, apparently.
Back in Chris's day.
So yeah, there was no social media, kids. We honest to God,
We knocked on doors, pounded pavement.
we were 6 months behind in opening up. And when you're dealing with governmental red tape with licensing, opening a brewery, production facility, a lot of things go into that's beyond your control. So we were 6 months behind because of that red tape, and put us in quite a hole. I mean, we were 6 months without income, a lot of expenses, didn't have much. The first thing we burned through was marketing, things we had money we had allocated towards marketing that we couldn't spend when we opened up because of the tie-up. So with a zero budget, we did things. Guerrilla marketing was one of them, and that was one of the old college things. Go out, print up flyers, and on a slow night or on a weekend, some morning you run out and flag every car downtown. That did some good, did some harm too, but that's when you went out and guerrilla marketed, flyers all over the place. That's how we started. And also, events. We created events that didn't exist, and it's hard to believe, like there wasn't a brew fest in northwestern Pennsylvania 10 years ago. It was that kind of thing that, hey, we get people in the door to see Union Station. People haven't been downtown to Union Square in 20 years. Get them back down to Union Square, check the place out, and just create a need and demand for things, whether it's a beer tasting, sampling, just off-the-wall different events, art festivals that, when we just wrapped up. Arts and Drafts was one of our biggest draws of the year. So create things that don't exist. Maybe they exist in different markets. Maybe we pulled up and came up with our own thing. That was one. And the big thing for us that really, I think, got off the ground and going back to being community-centric and hosting every single event we could, being at every single community event we could, whether it meant handing out food or handing out beer, just handing out cards, free appetizer cards or coupons. That whole guerrilla process, I think, was what launched us and really is what part of our fabric right now.
Well, so how about now, though? I mean, you're in business. You've been in business for a long time. You've got this empire, I guess, running down there. Your marketing budget's a little bit bigger. What are you doing differently now to keep people, either new people coming in or your recurring clients coming back?
Sure. I mean, you still have the traditional media, we do minimal print and TV, radio, things that are easy to quick change. Social media is obviously a big part of anybody. If you're in business right now, you're not using social media, you're not going to be in business, So that's the followings, the sharing, working with other brewers, which is a very fraternal thing, promoting each other. We started up the Lake Erie Ale Trail this past, actually 2 years now, and it's just a collaboration of local breweries that we put together and said, hey, we're stronger by numbers. And let's create something, create a spot well outside of Erie, and let's market to 100, 200 miles away to bring people to Erie, Pennsylvania, to obviously to go to the breweries, but while you're here, shop and eat and spend the night. Let's put some heads in beds in Erie, and things like that have really taken off.
You're doing a lot to bring people into Erie. RJ,
Sure.
Your story is probably a little different. You're trying to sell your goods to people outside of Erie and ship it to them. What type of things are you doing to make that work?
Social media. That is something I can't talk about enough. I can probably say a major reason why we've grown so big so quick is through social media. Within the 2 years, we have over 16,000 Instagram followers, over 10,000 Facebook likes, and we've given people, how should I put it? We make people think that not make them think, but we make them involved in a company. If someone comes in and buys an Iron Empire shirt, or they buy one online and they get it and they take a picture and tag us, they're getting featured on our Instagram. It doesn't matter if you're a model or if you're, at McDonald's eating hamburgers or you're at the gym. Like, if you're in an Iron Empire shirt, you tag us, they know that they're getting posted on our social media, and people love seeing that. And I love seeing it. Every single day I'm getting tagged in new stuff, whether it's on Facebook or Instagram or wherever. And it's almost like a pride thing. People have pride when they wear our clothing. And we've used social media to our advantage huge. We do, like and shares on Facebook, and it's insane the amount of attention it gets. And as far as other advertising, we've really taken control of the social media aspect. We've done some of the other stuff before, and we just realized, like, social media, that's it. And it's something that I taught myself. Before I started a clothing line, I did some stuff in the past in my life before Iron Empire that kind of got me some attention, and known as like the face tattooed guy in Erie. So I kind of like marketed myself out there in a sense, doing things. So I kind of took what I learned from that, put it towards a business, and it's still a learning experience from
And you've done some other things. I mean, obviously getting your customers engaged in social media is a huge benefit, and I think all three of you probably see that. But you've also had some really professionally done videos done that you've shared as well. So did you start with those videos, or did you start with the big following, or what?
We started, when we first began, beginning of 2015, we made the Instagram, made the Facebook, stuff like that. And after the first few months, like I said, it was just a hobby. It was nothing like it is now. And when I realized, okay, we kind of have something here, we kind of relaunched and put a face to the brand. We We filmed a video, and one thing that we do is we use local people, and all of our videos are kind of motivational or inspirational, where you won't see one Iron Empire video right now where it says, hey, come to Iron Empire Clothing and buy our stuff. You see the people wearing a shirt and you see our logo at the end, and that's it. And we put out a message to build a lifestyle brand that make people feel like they are, they buy a shirt, they're part of Iron Empire. They're not just buying a shirt just to wear it to the gym or anything like that.
And do you know, your most popular video, how many people have seen that? Do you
we
track
had
that?
a video, I was on Fox for a little bit, it's a 30-second clip, and on Facebook I think it has 56,000 views right now.
It's pretty impressive for a tiny little company that started out of your house, huh?
That's right. Thank
Well,
you.
I think based on that, we're going to go into a little break right now, and we'll be back shortly.
NCAA Division II has much to cheer about, as nearly 100,000 student athletes compete with passion and pride. And I'm pleased to share the best news of all. Student athletes are outperforming the rest of the D2 student body in graduation rates. Just another reason why you'll hear us say with pride, I chose Division II. Learn more at d2sa.org.
There's one thing you can never have sex without.
It's not something you buy.
Or something you take.
In fact, there's only one way to get it.
It has to be given to you, freely.
It's consent.
Because sex without it isn't sex.
It's rape. Consent.
If you don't get it, you don't get it.
It's on us to stop sexual assault.
Learn how and take the pledge at itsonus.org.
Welcome back to the Startup Breakdown. We're here with 3 experts today on starting businesses and selling products and services that didn't exist before and creating a following behind that. So we've got Chris Sirianni from the Brewerie, we've got Heidi Lutz from the Juice Jar, and we've got RJ Messanger from Iron Empire Clothing. And we spent a little bit of time talking about what these guys have done to create a following, to bring customers in, to do different marketing and social media. But I think now we should spend a little bit of time talking about things that maybe you would have done differently, or things that you screwed up, or maybe you wished you hadn't done. So do any of you have anything that maybe you wish you could take a mulligan on?
Oh boy. Yeah.
How much time do we have?
Yeah, not enough show left, Adam. Yeah, I think everybody does, and any entrepreneur that says they haven't had a screw up or wish they had a mulligan is lying. We've been lucky. We've caught a lot of breaks and had a lot of good fortune in the community with our business model. And when we open up, I guess going back to education, we thought people would understand the concept of a brewery. We thought people, because it was going on in other communities, would jump right into craft beer. Wasn't the case. And I had a beer background, grew up in the beer industry, and made craft beer, interned at a brewery, had kind of that. I knew the sense of in the climate of the beer industry in Erie. Didn't have a restaurant background. In hindsight, I wish I would have had some kind of restaurant background or someone more suitable on my side with a restaurant background. But we jumped in, and we like to think we did things right. We screwed up a ton at the beginning, a ton, just from not having enough beer out there. Underestimating the craft beer need in the community, and we might have been a little bit too far ahead. In hindsight, I'm glad we were ahead of the curve rather than behind it. But Yeah, you make a lot of assumptions. You're underfunded. Probably all of us have been underfunded, right?
We still are.
Yeah, we are. And you always think, hey, I got this in line, but then XYZ pops up that in the bills you never expect and the liabilities.
Well, what about? I mean, when you run out of beer, you make mistakes, and this is for all three of you. I mean, do you ever have really upset customers that you have to deal with? And how do you deal with that type of thing, or how does it affect you as a business owner, knowing that this is your baby that you're putting out there for everybody?
It's funny, before we opened, I mean, literally the morning we were supposed to open, we were still plumbing the sink in the bathroom, and we literally, my juicers had never even stepped foot behind the area where they were going to be juicing. We were that to the wire on construction, and everybody was so stressed and so nervous, and I took everybody aside and I said, listen, like, what's the worst that can happen? Okay, we could kill somebody, but that's the worst. We don't want to do that. But I said, otherwise, all we can do is smile and be nice, and everything will be okay. So it's just like rolling with it. I mean, and then making the next best decision that you can just to get through it. And I feel like as long as you keep a smile on your face and you're really friendly to people, that they'll forgive almost anything.
Is it just as easy a year in as it was on day one to keep the smile on your face? And
it's getting harder. I must say it's getting harder, but I still love it. I mean, for me, the customers are what make it. The people and the community that's forming around all of our businesses are what keeps us going through the hard times, because the community's really, I think, embraced all of our businesses, and it's amazing.
One of Iron Empire's videos has a really good line that we either win or learn, we never lose. And I think that's true. You're a motivational brand, you appeal to a lot of different types of people, and obviously that fits in a sports setting, but I think it fits in a business setting just as well for a lot of people. So there are things that you may do wrong or you may do incorrectly. One of the other issues that a lot of new businesses have, and they ask me about it as if I'm some sort of expert, but coming up with a price for your product is a very difficult thing to do. You don't want to price things too high because you want people to actually buy it. You don't want to price it too low because, one, you take some pride in what you do, and two, you need to make money. And even things like offering sales and discounts and coupons and things like that. Have you guys had experiences or difficulties going through that process?
We have coming in, again, opening and offering a product to a market that isn't used to craft beer. No one in Erie paid $3.50 for a beer in 2006, nobody. Now it's like, hey, you go to a lot of bars, craft beer bars, and you'll pay $7 for a beer. 10 years ago, that was a hard sell to Erie, Pennsylvania, which was used to $1 drafts and $1 bottles and half off everything. I mean, it was a very tough, I like to say, we're not a cheap market. I don't want to call the people very cheap, but we're frugal and we know a deal and we like a deal. So it was very, very hard out the gate. I think we've loosened that a little bit. But yeah, introducing and coming with a pricing, like we knew we had to get $3.50 for a pint to make the model work. So you had to stick by it. But yeah, I mean, the couponing, discounting, we are the test market for a lot of different deals, coupon capital of the world, and that's the truth. So, learning and keeping people honest too. I know we talked earlier on off the air about everybody comes with a coupon or wants to use multiple coupons, or everybody in a group wants to use it. So, again, go back to educating the community, like, hey, we're a small business. We like to be here. We want to stay here. Help us get there. And when you go out and use a coupon, try to understand, especially with the small local independent businesses, those can sometimes make or break you when they're taken advantage of.
Right, and realizing that the coupons, may be necessarily geared to people that you want to get in the door, not the people that already love you and are coming in anyways. And I know it was very hard for us and our price point, because what we do is very expensive. So, and getting people to realize, that this bottle may be $9, but the amount of nutrients that you're getting in here, and it's a whole bowl full of fruits and vegetables that that cost us a lot of money. So the education is key on letting people know what's actually going into this and why it's worth what they're paying.
And an interesting dynamic is that same bottle may be $15 in another city in
And
America.
it is,
you know?
it is,
So
right.
with your
and
markets,
people are more than willing to pay that. You know, when I originally opened, I wanted to be doing cold press juices, which there's no nutrient loss when you cold press a juice. But that juicer, you know, is $25,000. And I'm like, there's no way I'm going to be able to recover that in the Erie market where people are not really
sell a
that
lot of juice to pay for
educated
that kind of equipment.
about juicing, right?
RJ, what's the mix of your customers or your sales? Is it mostly in this area of the country, or is it spread apart?
I would say it's pretty close to being equal. Obviously, with having a retail store here in Erie, you know, we've been in the store for now well over a year and a half. You know, whether it was our old location or new location, the amount of local support we get is absolutely insane. You know, those people obviously coming into the store daily. You know, whether we have sales or we don't have sales, like you guys were talking about, that's what keeps us going. But, you know, we travel around the country. You know, last year, we literally packed up the trailer in Durango and drove to California and drove back. Took a road trip to go set up at an event out there. You know, we go to Columbus every year for a big sports festival. And we reach out to all these people around the country and in hopes to get them to do our online orders. Like I said, we did, I think, a little over 1,000 online orders last year on our online store. And it sounds like a lot now, but in my eyes, like, I want to do better than that. So we're still trying to grow not only locally, but nationally as a brand.
Well, I think that's the nature of being in business, though. You're never satisfied with what you have. It's always what you're doing next.
Yeah.
So you're looking at expanding maybe into some other types of products or product lines and things like that, right?
Yep, yeah, we have a lot of ideas. We started, when we realized we were onto something, we said, you know, let's create a brand, not just a clothing line. You know, we'll start with a clothing line, and maybe down the road we're going to do, you know, Iron Empire fitness and supplements, you know, proteins and pre-workouts, or, you know, Iron Empire daddy daycare. I made it as a joke the other day, and everyone loved it, so that might be happening, but you never know. You never know.
How much do you pay the guy with the face tattoos to watch your kids for you? Is that,
You'd be surprised.
Yeah.
I've had a couple requests.
I'm willing to do it.
couple
You probably
requests.
provide some good security there.
That's right.
And Heidi, you've only been around a year. You know, you're still learning things, but you're looking at different opportunities out there for growth and expansion, maybe?
Right, yeah, we definitely have a lot of interest in taking the juice jar to different areas. So we're just, you know, I'm trying to just take it one day at a time and see, you know, where would be best to expand to.
So you're still learning every day.
Oh my gosh, every minute.
And Chris, I think your latest expansion is you bought a couple short buses. Tell us a little bit about what you're planning on doing with those.
What in a world where everybody's
It could be part of RJ's daycare program.
I never heard this. This is first time to hear it.
Throw the kids on the
Yeah,
bus, go
short
get some
bus.
juice, and go on some
Yeah.
tours. So, yeah, we recently acquired a couple buses. We'll be doing brewery tours of the Lake Erie Ale Trail breweries, the 11 of us in our region. And it was just something else, you know, we're very saturated with restaurants in Erie. Craft breweries are popping up. Like I said, there's 11 of them now when they weren't around 10 years ago. And everybody's, you know, a lot of craft beer bars and stuff, so we're trying to diversify a little bit. And we said, hey, let's, you know, especially with the concern of drinking and driving and just being socially responsible, hey, let's throw people on a bus, take them where they need to go, then come back to our place, get an Uber. But, you know, on Friday, Saturday, Sundays, we'll be running bus tours out of there. And it was something, again, you look outside other markets, we saw it in Portland going on, we saw it in California, we saw it in Boston, and we said, we can bring that to Erie. And I feel like Erie, you know, the big joke is we're 5 to 10 years behind everywhere else, right? And that's a joke on us, but at the same time, it's an opportunity. And that creates such an opportunity that entrepreneurs and anybody, you know, looking to start up their own business should really consider, because there's models in other areas that are working and models that have failed, and you got to keep an eye on those too. But, you know, you find these things, it would have been very difficult for me to open up, you know, a brewery in perhaps Cleveland 10 years ago. Juice jar, you know, the craft, the boutique that we offer, it might have been saturated already, or the wave had already passed in other markets, but Erie being ahead or being behind gives you a chance to get ahead as an entrepreneur.
And rarely in Erie does anybody ever have to recreate the wheel. We can often see what's working in other places and adapt it to here. It's never going to be a copy and paste, but we can usually make it work. So there you have it. 3 experts who have been through the process. They've created some buzz, they've started a business, they've grown a business, and they're looking out for what's next out on the horizon. So thank you very much for joining us today, and we'll see you next time.